you come out with Lions and Liars. I love that record. How well did that record do well?
It did do well.
It did do well.
Yeah, especially like this is when people still bought CDs and downloaded albums. So
that was. I think that was like a golden era commercially for music, for independent music. Is that like 2010 to 2015 window, right. Where if you put out music and you were halfway good, halfway visible, you could come out and sell a couple thousand records. Like we were selling a couple thousand records.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And then I know you guys were probably doing tens of thousands of records.
I won't say the exact number, but it definitely that was the album that allowed me to be full-time music. Okay. Yeah. So before I was my wife needed to work. And this album was the album that allowed me to be full-time. But the other thing about that album that I really think hit hard was, as you probably remember, the song We Could Be More. And We Could Be More.
Yeah, that was hard.
Was not only just a good song, it was a song that played both on secular spaces and Christian spaces. Okay. And so, and it was also a song that a lot of people had, some people had problems with because I didn't talk about Jesus or God in the album. It was a love song, right? And it was like, I wrote it to be a wedding song. I want people to dance at the weddings to this joint, right? And we did video for that, and we pushed it to radios, all kind of, and it did really well. And so that song, even to this day, like probably people everywhere I go, some folks is like, yo, We Could Be More.
That was a great record,
so
man. That
album and that song was kind of like the catalyst for my career, if you will.
So then you pivot again, and you do High Society.
Yeah.
That was
to this day my favorite album I've ever done.
That was a dope
Second favorite album.
That was a dope record. And I feel like High Society was really like the manifestation of like the adjustment on the methodology with a freedom of art. You know what I'm saying? And expression. And it seems like that was the precedent that later on became the I guess the, what do you call it, like CHH shifting. You know what I'm saying? Like that record, I feel like what we were doing as the breaks was in the same lane.
Absolutely.
But we didn't have the same visibility that you guys had.
Absolutely.
You were on Reach and Swoop was starting to bubble.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that took a shift, and it was very creative, really well done. I remember you sending me reference tracks and like, yo, can you redo this hook? And then Swoop would have these like wake up homie. You know what I'm saying? I was like, bro, like I can't do the Lupe Kanye on this. Like I'm not that charismatic, you know what I'm saying? I was really hoping to be on that record.
No, we wanted you to. We love it. But the track we did, what was it, Break Society?
Break Society was hard. Y'all go look up that joint, Break Society. Me, Belief, Sho Baraka, and Swoop.
And JR was on it too.
And JR. That joint was cold off of Breaks Over. I think it was Breaks Over 3. That was a dope record. Yeah.
So how, it's funny. So how High Society happened was JR, Courtney Orlando, who's now Courtney Orlando, who I also think is one of the most slept on individuals if you want to kind of like create a compartment of Christian artists. He and I were feeling the same plight. So he was from Cross Movement. You know, he was signed to Cross Movement. But he had left the label, and I was in the process of leaving my label. And while I was in the process of thinking about leaving my label, and we were just having a lot of conversation about our frustration with the artists we loved, having this life that we felt didn't match up with our art. And we were like, we want to be who we are, right? I don't want to go out there and wild out, but I want to be who I am and be authentic. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine who was living with me at the time. He was about to get married, and he loved the Clips. And I used to ask him, because all he would listen to was like the Clips and secular, mainstream music. And I was like, yo, bro, you don't listen to like no Christian hip hop? He's like, nah. I was like, why? He's like, I mean, not to disrespect y'all. He's like, I mean, you guys are talented, but I don't feel like, I don't know y'all. Like when I listen to your music, I don't know you. Like I don't feel like I hear you. I feel like you preach at me. I feel like you just telling me what to do, but I don't hear your hurt. I don't hear your pain. I don't hear you. And I remember Brad.
That's such a fair assessment of Christian hip hop at that time.
At that time. And so now I do. Anyway. So and I was just like, yo. So at that moment, JR and I was just like, we just felt this desire. So we start working together. I hit up Swoop. No, I'm sorry. I hit up Swoop, and Swoop was just starting to label with a friend of mine, Adam Thomason.
Shout out to AT.
Yeah, and so we were just like, let's do an album together. And long story short, we start working on music. We brought JR in because I was like, yo, JR need to be a part of this as well. So we did like about 4 or 5 songs. Then we were like, yo, we just need a female vocalist on this song right here. I had just started like building a relationship with Natalie, so we called Natalie Loren. I think her name is, he may call Natalie Sims. I don't know what she go by now. And we call her, and she comes in the studio, and she was just like, yo, I gotta be a part of this. And so at that time, the label I was with was like, no, we can't release this project. And so that was kind of like, you know what, I think it is time for me to probably make some decisions to do some different stuff.
Yeah. And you pivoted, you went indie.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how many years, but probably, I feel like within a year or two of that, you put out Talented 10th.
Come on, somebody.
Now that record
was the problem.
That record was, from a commercially success standpoint,
did not do that great.
It didn't do great?
Well,
I thought
I
that
mean,
was like one of your best-selling records.
It did well. No, yeah. So, yeah.
That first week, those first week numbers
it did do well.
Look crazy.
It did good. It did well.
And it was indie.
It did well because
and it was
musical. It was all my, like I used all my money. Yeah. I used everything, and I made it. Yeah. Like, you know.
And it was musical.
But it didn't do as well as, I'm sorry, it didn't do as well as Lions and Liars.
Yeah, but it didn't matter because you were indie.
Right. So that's what I meant, like it didn't do well. But it also got me in a lot of trouble too. So, and I
didn't get it. Like, I remember listening to that record and be like, okay, like, all right, like he said the N-word, like, okay, what are we even talking about?
Well, it's not just the
stuff
N-word.
I came up on Ahmad and 4th Avenue Jones. They've been saying that stuff a decade ago.
Right, absolutely.
So I just didn't understand, like, why is this even a big deal?
It wasn't that, bro. It wasn't the N-word. It wasn't even me saying bitch on the song. It was basically what it was is it was me becoming Sho Baraka, who I was. So instead of me referencing all these white evangelicals on my songs, instead of me talking about how much I loved this particular book, I started talking about the people that I grew up loving. And I was mentioning black theologians. I was mentioning black sociologists. I was mentioning people who had influenced my early life, and I had gotten back to that, and people didn't like that, and so they started to tag me as, you know, black liberation theology, as if that's like some pejorative in some sort of way, and they just called me all these things. And they just said, they basically were like, oh, he's falling off because now I'll never forget one interview. I mean, not interview, one blog said this album is for black folks. Wow. And I was like, it's crazy because before when I was writing music about white people or talking about white people, that's for everybody. Yep. But now that I'm shouting all these black folks out, and I'm talking about Lemuel Haynes, or I'm talking about, you know, Absalom Jones. Yeah. These folks, now it's just for black people. Right. And I was like, this is the reason why I'm making this album. This is the reason why I made a song called Jim Crow. And so. And this is before
it was on like Hip Hop DX. Like, I remember it was getting love.
But bro. This is also before Black Lives Matter. This is before Mike Brown. This is before, and so everybody was like, "You commit, you know, this is career suicide. You making this is ridiculous." Yeah. I had wrote the songs I think before Trayvon Martin, and part of the reason why I made this album was because Oscar Grant, like, and Rakia Boyd. So I mentioned some of them in my album.
You were early on this stuff, like in terms of it being like a mainstream issue. You had seen this stuff for a while, and I came up in the hip hop and spoken word scene in San Diego. So that's a predominantly black, very socially conscious scene. Yeah. So I had been hearing about police brutality and black people getting killed, and not just hearing about it, but then having very patient black men
work with you,
both Christian and non-Christian, who were discipling me. Because the Christians were and then I have mentors who weren't Christian that were like explaining it to me when I would have questions. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I think you were ahead of your time in that. And then,
well, Prop was there too. I mean, there's some folks out there that was talking about this stuff, but yeah.
So boom, you dropped that. A couple years after that, that's when all the social issues hit.
Right.
And
then I look like a genius.
And then you...
Then it's like literally friends, people who shaded me are hitting me back up like, yo, you was right. Yo, I'm sorry, man. I apologize.
Everything you told me in 2010, 2011, the moves you made with Talented 10th, the content you talked about, the stands you took, Christian hip hop as a whole, or at least mainstream or whatever, popular Christian hip hop, started feeling that. It started being, I started hearing the same things. I don't like going to shows and not seeing my own people in the audience. I don't like playing churches. I don't like playing Christian conferences. I don't like not being able to speak on social issues. I don't like speaking on a social issue on social media and getting lit up and getting people to say I'm not a Christian anymore, right? It was like, it just hit the fan to the place of like 2015, 2016, you know what I'm saying? And if it was like, you kind of skated off into the sunset.
Wait. I can't keep you in check, so tell your mama about the tattoos up to your neck. Go wear a collar if it goes with the burgundy kids, and tell your father that your night out wasn't the best from what I see via text. I can't keep you in check, so tell your mama about the tattoos up to your neck.